Good morning. I'm Dr. Bob Sather. This is a pseudocode example of how to do a bubble sort and a merge sort using the pseudocode deepjane.com program. The deepjane.com program is a web program. Okay. I don't know who wrote it, but thank you. This is one of the first systems, pseudocode. Let me see. I spell pseudocode correctly. One of the first systems that I've seen that actually will do pseudocode, okay, and test it. So this is not only a syntax checker, but what makes it unique is once you've got the syntax in correctly, you can actually run the program. Now it has its limitations, okay, but for our purposes, it works great. One of the things we're trying to do in this final exam is the exam calls for two sets of files, string files, text files, two sets of files to be read into the system and merged, read in one, read in the other, and then merge the two at the end. Of course, you have to do a bubble sort. After you've read the data in, do a bubble sort to get it in sequence. The bubble sort is student A, and the bubble sort is student B to get them in sequence, and then they merge into a final array called student C. Okay. Unfortunately, pseudocode will not allow me, because it's a web program, will not allow me to attach a file. Okay. So what we have to do in creating the string array is go ahead and create our own strings. This is a string array. We will use a random number generator, convert the output to string values, so it will be a string array. So without any further ado, let's talk about this thing. What you can do is you can put your author and date right up here, just do / comment like you do with Java or C++. Dr. Bob Sather, and today's date, May 1st, 2024. Okay. Assignment is to create two string arrays, use bubble sort, and merge with a third string. Okay. And we're going to call these string arrays student A, student B, and student C. So the first thing we need to do in our program, we start out with module main. Okay. Just like a Java program, module main. All my main modules, all my main systems are going to be called modules. I could call them functions, but what I'm going to do is call all my subroutines functions. So my main module is going to be a my main module is going to be module. Okay, and then we're going to add some things. That we're going to do size A. For our first student size, I'm just going to make it 3. And one of the reasons I'm doing a small size is because pseudocode goes out and does this random number generator, and it takes it a couple seconds per number. So if we put 100 in here, we'd be waiting a long time. We'll just use 3. For size A is my first student record. I'm going to make my second student size B. Then I'm going to have a third size for C, which is equal to size A plus size B. Okay? So that's my third array is going to be size C, but it's going to be twice the other one. All right, now here's where we do, and this is where it gets a little tricky, okay? One of the things you have to do in an array for pseudocode is you need to declare it declare a string array. We're going to call it student A. And give it a size. And the size we're going to give it is size A. Now, this is important. If you don't do this, the arrays don't work. Don't ask me why. You must come in and do a student A equals bracket index. And then we get that string array student size to student A. And then what we'll do here is we'll just simply copy this, copy it, paste it, and we'll change this from student A to student B. And likewise to student C. We've now created 3 arrays of different, well, they're one and the same size. It won't matter, okay, if they were different sizes or what have you. Okay, it won't actually matter. What we're going to do here, what we're going to find out as we go through these sorts and so forth, is that if you have a set of numbers, you may go through one list quicker than the other. Okay, just however it randomizes out, student A may have more entries in it than student B, okay, and you might go through student B quicker than you go through student A. So at the very end of this merge sort, we've got to have a routine in where we drain the rest of the string records. Okay, so we're going to do a thing here called create. We're going to do a subroutine called create records. And in that subroutine, we'll create records for student A. Or student A. Create records for student A, and we're going to tell the subroutine how big it is. Okay? Create records for student A. All right? So let's come down here. I'm going to put end module. End module. We're going to add some more to it, but I'm going to start with some subfunctions. Create records. Function. Create records. Parentheses. And that's being passed student A. Actually, it's create records is going to be passed an array. We'll just call it array. Or how about if we call it my array, so we're not confused. My array, and then my side. How's that? Okay. So I'm passing student A. These subfunction, these parameters don't have to be the same name, which is another really little reason why I did this. Okay. They don't have to be the same name. Okay. So over here now, we've got we're going to have a subfunction. And I've got to create some stuff here. I'm going to create an integer called value. That's going to be our number that we're a random number we're going to stick in, and then we're going to create value to string. Okay? And then here, I'm going to say loop count from 0 to my size minus 1. Now, why did I do that? Because the size is going to be 3, but the array is going to start at 0. So I want the array to go from 0, 1, 2, not to 3, 0, 1, 2, which is an array size of 3. Arrays start at 0, so you're always going to find me doing a little size minus 1 to make sure I'm not out of the bounds of the array. Okay, so loop count. And here I'm going to say value. And this pseudo array has a pseudo generator called random. And I'm going to use it from 10 to 89. Now, why am I doing that? Okay. Simply because I don't want to have a 3-digit number or a 1-digit number. 1 and 100, it's all sorting on the outermost port. So 1 and 100 are grouped together. That is not sorted properly. So I'm cheating a little bit. I'm going to make sure my number is between 10 and 89. Okay. I can make it 99, but well, let's do it for 99. Let's see if that works. 10 through 99. And then I'm going to say my array, the count record, is equal to string of value. Remember, up here, my value is an integer. I've got to convert it to a string. Okay? And then I'm going to do an end loop. And I'm going to do an end function. Okay? Now, what I can do right at this point, and I love to do this, is let's do a print array. Okay? Because the next step, after we create a record, we're going to want a print array, another function, and we're going to hand it student A, and it's student A, and size A. We'll come down here and I'll have a print array function print array, and it's being passed my array and my size. And in the print function, what are we going to do? It'll be pretty simple. We're going to go through the process. We're going to use, anytime I use an array and I'm going through an array, rather than calling it count, I like to call it index. Okay, I like to call it index. And then that way, because in your array, you're indexing through it, not counting it. Okay, so just a quirk. Okay, call for whatever you want. I want to say for index from, this is key, 0 to my size minus 1. Again, I'm going to go from 0 to 2 in this case, 0, 1, and 2 to get the 3 elements of the array. And then we're going to do an output. Record 4, index, give it a space there. Now, everything in the output command has to be a string. So the output comment is in string, and then I've got to string out what I use for my index. I want to see what my index is. Okay, plus a comma and a space after it, plus the string of my array, bracket index. Then I have a for loop, so it's N4, and then an end function. Okay. Now we've got enough right here to test it. Okay. What will happen is on your test modules, they'll come down here at the bottom. So here's your button to run it. So let's test to see if we've got all our coding right. End of line scanning while stranding string strangle. Line 29. String index. Oh, here. I have both there. That's what that is. Okay, so string index plus that. Okay, typo. Let's run it. Ran successfully in 0.6 seconds. Notice it didn't produce anything. All that did was check my syntax. if I want to run the function, just like Java, you got to call it. So down at the end of this, I'm going to call the function main and then see if it runs. It's getting random numbers. Takes a second for the pseudocode to go out and get a random number and then print it out. 0, 78, 55, 33. So here is the value, okay, of the numbers. So I'm going to be doing this a lot. So let's make this a little index, call this index value. Index value equal. Let's try that one more time. Just so we're sure we know what we're getting. Using output commands, okay, see, this is good. Index 0 is 11, 51, 46. All right, fairly simple, all right? Using output commands, since pseudocode does not have a debugger or variable watch window, I've got to create my own debugger. And these output commands are ways that I use to make sure that things are working. Now, that was for student A. Okay? Got all that done for student. How hard is it to do student B? Let's copy that, paste it. Let's do student B. Student B. Now when I run it, I should get one set of numbers for student A and another set of numbers for student B. Now see here, it'd be a little nice to do some separation here between these twos. I'm gonna put an output command here. Output student A. And down here, I'll do the same thing for student B. Put an output. Simply so I know which ones I'm looking at. Okay? Run it. So now down here, I'll see my student A list, and then I'll see my student B list. Very helpful. Again, I'm using output commands to see where I'm at, okay, as I'm running this. There's student A, there's student B, okay? All right, that seems to work pretty well. Now what do we want to do? Well, the next thing we want to do, we now have two sorted or two sets of tables. Now we want to do a bubble sort, okay? So the next thing we want to do down here, before I print the array, there's the create records for student B. Let's do a bubble sort. I'll do a bubble sort. And again, I'm going to use student A. This is for student B. Give it the size. I take that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the bubble sort before I print them out. And then do student A over here the same way. Create records. Student A. Student A. Now when I print my records out, they'll be sorted. Let's test it. Well, I haven't done bubble sort yet. That's not going to work. Should bomb as soon as he sees bubble sort. First time through, it's going to bomb. Well, I haven't created my bubble sort yet. No, okay, be picky about it. Function, bubble sort. for my array and my size. Oh, my size. Okay, go pass the two values, my array and my size. Now, here's where I get a little tricky. Okay. Here's the problem with bubble sort. You have a list of records. They go from 0 to size -1. Okay, and when you come in a bubble sort, you want to look at that record, the first record, which is 0, by the way, index is equal to 0. You look at that first record, index equals 0, and then look at the next record, which is index +1, and see if index 0 is bigger than index +1. If it is, you swap it. Okay, you swap the two records. Then you look at the next record. You look at index +1 versus index +2. And if index +1 is bigger than index +2, you swap it. So you're going through this list, okay, swapping records. Now, if you swap one record, just one record in that whole list, okay, you have a new sorted field. You've got to start over again, go back to the top of the index and go back and look through it to see if something isn't sorted. It's a lot easier to show you this in Flowgorithm, where I can have a variable watch window and you can watch the swapping. You're going to just have to trust me on this. So to control whether or not we had a swap record, I come up with this little statement called Boolean. We'll call it do again. I'm going to say Boolean. Do again. And what that's going to mean is, if do again is true, go back to the swap cycle. Okay? Do again is equal to true. I'm going to set my index equal to 0. Let's just leave it there for right now, equal to 0. And my swap, which is going to be my value, I'm going to set it equal to blank. Dual quotes. Then I'm going to say loop while do again. If do again is true, which it is, oh, I haven't set it up here. I need to set my do again true up here. Do again is equal to true. If do again is true, we're going to go through the swap cycle. And it is, because I just said it true. We're going to loop the index. Remember index up here? We set it up here, new variable, from 0 to size -1. No, this time we're going to do it 2. And the reason we're doing 2 is when we hit the bottom record on the table, which would be size -1, the loop's going to try again, and if it goes past the size of the record, it bounds. So I want to get not to the bottom record on my loop, but to the record just before it, and then stop. Okay, that's why we're doing size -2 here. And again, we can do it, say, if my array, if my array for the index, and remember, index is going to start at 0, is greater than first record in the index. Okay, look at it, and it's going to look at my array index +1. So it's looking at the first record of the index, comparing it to the second record, and if first record is bigger than the second record, swap them. Okay, that's where our swap's going to come in. So this swap command is going to take my array index, it's going to take the record from the first variable. And this is a little tricky. It's going to take that first record, put it in swap. take the index plus 1, put it in index, put swap back into index plus 1. So effectively, what you're doing is moving the record down the stack. Right? MyArray index is now going to be equal to MyArray index plus 1. So I put index into swap. I put index plus 1 into the index field. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reload MyArray index plus 1 with the swap variable. Okay. Now, anytime I go through this bubble sort, and this is true, okay, when I get done, I need to go all the way back over and redo the bubble sort. So I'm going to say, I've come down this path. We'll say do again equal true. Okay. Loop while do again. Let's see here. Oh, one other thing. Do again would always be true, unless I say while do again, I'm going to come back to this module only if I come through this bottom loop here. I'm only going to come back to this module if I come through this actually swap right here. Okay. Now we had an if statement, so we're going to do an end if. We had a loop statement, so I'm going to do an end loop. I had a while statement. Where's my do while? Loop while. I have a while statement. So I have an end while. Go up one. End while. Okay. So I've got an end loop. I've got an if, end if, loop, end loop, while statement, end while. And then we are, what else we have to do? End function. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the bubble sort for one record, and then we'll print the array. And well, we could do bubble sorts for both of them. So create bubble sort size A, create bubble sort for size B, and then print it out. Let's see what happens. Random number generator is going out. Well, unrecognized cell, built-in function, line 68. Bubble sort, end function. Oh, guess what? Line 68, end while, end if, end loop, end while, end function. Got that. Got loop while do again. Got that. I got loop index from 0 to size -2. Unsupported operand type for built-in function or integer. Something's telling me index is a number. I'm just incrementing. Swap is the actual variable. That should be string. That's true. The array is a string. Index greater than array index plus 1. Swap my array. Index gets my array index plus 1. My array index. Oh, wait a second. Index plus 1. My array index plus 1 is equal to swap. Anything wrong with that? Okay. I'll pause this for just a second. And figure it out. I'll be right back. So it's not size. The value is my size. -2. And do again equal true. Does that get it? My size minus 2. Little typo. Okay, here. It's reading the records. It's loading them in. Got 28, 57, 88, 13, 32, 33. So those are sorted records. So I've sorted both student A and student B. Now the next thing I want to do, okay, is I want to do a merge array. Got student A and student B here. So here I'm going to do a merge array. It's going to be a subroutine. And I'm going to give it a couple values. I'm going to give it the array for student A and the size for student A. Then I'm going to give it student B, the array, and the size for B. Then I'm going to give it student C, which is the array, and guess what? The size for C. I'll pass all that to my merge array. Okay. Remember, I'm in the main program. My arrays are declared in the array. So for the function to get them, okay, I've got to pass the array values. That's what we just did. Print array, bubble sort. Now we're going to create another function called merge sort. Is that what it is? What did I call merge array? And send it. We're going to send it a couple things. We're going to send it. Let's just go ahead and use student A, student B, and student C. Okay. Just go ahead and use those variables for that's when I'm passing it. Okay. That's when I'm passing it. Now, in the merge, okay, I've got a couple things I've got to do here. One of the things is, like I say, is you go read through the records, okay? Sometimes I'll read the first record and go all the way through B, okay? Or another time I might read the first 2 records on B and then go all the way through A. I still have records left over that have to merge. So we have to go through some sort of loop process, okay? We have to loop process based on whether it's student A I went through or student B. So I'm going to create some other booleans. I found out that I don't have to state a boolean up here. I could just say loop A is false, loop B is equal to false. I'm going to check for these things at the very end of the array function. Okay. I'm also going to have an index A equal to 0. I'm going to need something. I'm going to loop through index A. I'm going to need another index B equal to 0. So I can loop through the student B index. And I'm going to have another variable called count, which I'm going to set equal to 0. Now I'm going to say loop while not loop A and not loop B. Okay. So I've set those variables equal to false up there, and this is false. So I'm going to do this loop. Okay. Now, what I'll do in the loop, if I ever discover I'm out of one side or the other, then I'll say loop. I want to do loop A, make it true. If I do B, okay. If I do B I'm going to all the B's merge and only half of A, I'm going to turn on loop A. So when I get to the end of this thing, I'll finish up loop A. And the same thing with B. Okay. A little tricky. Now I'm going to say if student A, this is the array, index A, okay? If that is greater than student B, index B. That's greater than that. Okay. Here I'm looking at student A, the first record, student B, the first record. And if A is greater than B, I want to move A into the sort first. Okay. So here, if that's true, my sort records are student C, or my merge records are student C. I'm sorry. What I've got to do first, okay, if student A is equal to student B, then I've got to take student C, and the index on this guy's going to be count. Why? Because I'm going to count through this loop. Okay, I'll count through the count at this point is 0. So I'm going to take the first 0 record for that, and I'm going to make student E, I'm going to make it student B, index B. Now, why did I do that? Because student A is bigger than student B, I'm going to put, because it's bigger than student, I'm sorting these ascending order, I'm going to put B in the string C first. Simply because A is bigger than that. Now remember, both of these files have been bubble sorted. Now what I can do is I can increment count plus 1, and I'm using count as my index into student C. So I'm moving my array down one area, getting ready for the next size. Now, one other thing I need to do once I've done that, okay, now I need to check something. If size B, if size B is equal to index B, then turn loop A equal to true. Okay. And if here. Now, what does this statement do? I'm looking at the B record and seeing if I'm all the way through B. If I'm done with B, then I want to finish up by looping A. Okay. Conversely, if size A, let's look at A. If size A is equal to index A, then loop B. If I'm done with A, I want to go through B. That's what that little loop button is for. Okay. We have end ifs. I've got a if statement up here. Let me get it back over here. Got an if statement over here, so I want to end if on it. And then I want to end loop. Right there. Now, I will go through this loop as long as I've got a record, but when I'm done with that record, okay, I want to say if loop B, if loop B, if that's true, then do a while count as long as the count is greater than size C. Okay. So here I've been going through the count record. Count is my size C index. So I'm saying, okay, while loop B, while count is less than size C, I don't want to get outside of the array of size C. Okay. So if it's less than size C, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to come down here, I'm going to move student C, my first record, count, I'm in my array, count, equal to student B, index B. Okay. So count is now my index into the student C record. And then what I want to do here is I want to increment index B by index B, index B plus 1. I'm going through my rest of my B loop, and I'm incrementing count equal count plus 1. I'm going to increment that. I would do an end while, and then an end if. And guess what? I'm going to do the same thing from loop A. I'm going to do the same thing for loop A, except this time I'm going to leave C alone. Loop A is what I'm testing. And I'm not looking at B anymore. I'm looking through A, index A, and incrementing index A by 1. I'm done. Right. That's it. So I'm at the end of my routine. I got all my end if loops and all that. I'm going to do an end function right here and be done with it. Okay. So that's my merge sort. Now the question is, we've done a merge sort. Then what we want to do is we want to print it out. Print it out. Student C, I do my printout. Student C, and just like that before I did my printout, I would say output. I want to see what I'm printing. Output student C. All right. Try running it. See if we have any syntax errors. There's a random number generator. And the random number generator. Don't program 2 seconds, maybe due to an infinite loop. I got in here and it says, man, you're doing an infinite loop, dude. Where's my infinite loop? Let me take a second, look at the code, and I'll be right back. So what I did was I missed my code over here, the second student. I'm going through my loop for student A, I'm checking it. Okay, student count, all that. Loop while not logged in. This is okay. Size equal B, index. Now I need to do this else statement here. It's got to be changed to have some stuff in it too. This this should not be an end if. End if here, end if there. If size B, loop A is equal to true. If size A, loop B is equal to true. somewhere in here, I've just done size A, but I haven't moved. I haven't, that's not an end if there. If the size B is equal to true, I think what I need here what I need here is an else statement. Get the other side of this functioning going here. That's got student A. Actually, this has got student A index. If it's not student A, I've got to copy in student B. Yeah, okay, that's what it is. This first part up here got index B. The second part down here, I don't need the greater than sign. I've already checked that. That was my test. Next size down there, student C equal count is equal to student A index. And then down here, this is doing size A index. We're doing index A again. Index A. There we go. So what I've got here, if this statement is true, see, this statement is true, then I could put a then statement in there if I wanted to. I put a then statement in there. Do this, else do that. Okay, let's try that. Let's see if that works. Then we'll go back over it with a tooth comb. A little confusing logic, okay? That's why you're a programmer. You're supposed to go through these design stages. That's why I write pseudocode, okay? This program, do the program logic and design. Kill a program 2 seconds, maybe because of an infinite loop. Okay, let's take a look again. Loop while not A, not loop A and not loop B. If student A, index A is greater than student B, then student C count, student B index, count plus 1, look for student index size B. And if that's not true, then we come over here with student C count equals student A index. Index A, here's where I'm missing it. If I did this, I never increment index B. That's where the problem is. I have to increment index B right here. And on the other one down below here, for index count, got index A, increment index A equal index A plus 1. All right. So yeah, it's an infinite loop because I would get stuck here in this loop. Let's run it. Let's see if that gets it. Name index A. I misspelled something. Where's index A? Index A, line 124. That's on the main routine. Somewhere in here I have index A not defined. Control F, INIDEXA. Where is that? I have IDEXA anywhere. Somewhere should that's in there someplace, but I'm not seeing it. Index A. And it probably is not something, well, those new things I did. Index A, index A, index A, index. Somewhere along the line, I got an index A in here, but I didn't spell it correctly. Oh, there it is. Index A. There he goes. All right, let's give it another shot. Live. Unrehearsed. Actually, it was rehearsed. It took me about a day, maybe day and a half to get this code to work properly in the pseudocode for deep chain. Other systems, other pseudocode comes out different. This is for deep chain. There we go. Here we have 47, 93, 96, 45, 48. So I should get 45, 47, 48, 57, 93, 96. 45, 47, 48, 57, 93, 96. It works. Yay. Okay. Let's go look at this using Flowgorithm. Okay, so you can see the variable functions, final spring. See the variables functions a little better. Okay, the create record, the merge record, and so forth. I'm going to do a stop right here, a break. Okay, so we can see the files. And I also want to open up some other things. This variable watch window is very useful. Okay, it shows the commands a lot. And then the console window shows me this console window is the bottom of my other one. Okay, let's go up here and run this guy. And on our main program integer size 15, let's not go with 15, let's go with 5. And go with 5 over here. This guy's using the same create records program. So I'm going to run down through here, run down through this code. Okay. And I've stopped at this point. Student A is here, student B is here. Student C, I want you to watch this indexing that's going through here. Okay, that's becoming live. Let's minimize this and expand this over so we can see it. Watch what happens when I run through this. Now, I like this because I can step through the program and show you all the memory variables here. So I have student A, I have student B. Student A is 5, student B is 5, C is 10, A plus B. Stepping them through. I've got a loop A and a loop B uninitialized. We'll set both of those to false. We're going to set integer count. I'm going to create some other variables that I'm going to use, such as count, index C, index B. These are all variables I'm using in my merge, creating them here, initializing everything. Okay. Count will get initialized right with this statement, 0 to C. And here we have our little statement where we're going to compare student A to student B. So the first time through, is student A 13 bigger than student B? The answer is no. So I'm going to write student A to my merge files. Put 13 over here. Increment the index for student A, so I'm down here. Okay. Now student A index is 1. Student B index is 0. So now I'm looking at 1 compared to 0. The next question is, Now I'm incrementing count. I increment count because count is my pointer into student C. Now I'm coming through, I'm going to look at is index 1, here's loop A, index 1, is this bigger than index 0 on B? Is 15 bigger than 19? The answer is no, so it's going to take down my left-hand leg here. And it's put 15 into C. Index A goes up. My loops aren't turned on yet. Haven't done my loops yet. Okay. I'm going to come down. Loops only get turned on when I'm done with one or the other of the students. Okay. So we're just going to kind of step through this thing. You can kind of watch it as picking from one side or the other. 13, 15, 19, 23. Next number is 62. So I'm going to pull all these over here. I'll pull that list all the way down. The 72 is my last one on A. I'm done with the A stack. Watch what happens with loop A or loop B. Loop B here was false. Now it says I'm done with the A stack. Guess what? I'm out of this loop. Now I'm going to go through the loop and I'm going to go through the B stack. Take 84. I got another B over here, 72. I got that one from my B stack over here. This 72 is going to go over here. Run through the stack. And it bombed. Whoa, ran into a problem there. Okay. It should have brought this B over here and then cleared out the rest of them. It did not. But you get the idea. Okay. Note, you got to test these things. Note what happened is where I've got one that's the same as the other. I don't have an if. It's either greater than or equal to. I didn't have that. But we can look at that. Okay. All right. Questions on all this? Questions? If not, that's what seems to work. Let's run it one more time, see if we get a bomb or not. We may run it one more time, give it a bigger set of records. That worked. Let's give it 5 each. How about we give it 5 and 7 and run it. Now I'll get 5 in student A, 7 in student B, and student C will be 5 plus 7 or 12. So it may take a few seconds for this processor. This is cool. This deep chain is cool that you can actually test your code. Because a lot of times you'll have the syntax right, okay, but your code doesn't work. You have a logic error. Syntax is fine, but the logic's wrong. So by using the pseudocode, you can test your logic, okay, to see if everything's working right. Name index B not defined. Oh, somewhere in here I've got an index B in here. Where's it in my merge statement? That would be in my not A, index B, index B, index A, index A. Index B, index A, count, count, count. There it is. Index B. Let's run it again. Debugging code happens all the time. Don't get your panties in the wad. Programmers do. Write some code, test it. Make changes, test it. Look for a more efficient way of doing it. Now, over the next few weeks, I'll probably look at this code and look for, oh, do I really need this count statement here? Do I need this loop here? Is there a better way of handling it? Less code, less efficiency, all part of the job of becoming a programmer. This handled the 50s correctly, 75, 70, 78, 70. This handled it correctly. I must have problems in my other flow chart. I'll have to look at my other flow chart and compare it to my pseudocode because now my pseudocode's working. All right, that's all I had. Okay, we'll go ahead and post this, and hopefully it'll help some people. Have a great day. We'll talk to you on the next session.